Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, please? Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning, ma.
Thank you so much. Good morning again, everyone. We are delighted to meet with you again this month. For those of us joining for the first time, you're most welcome. This is the WAiC network. It is a capacity building group, basically for women and postgraduate students in the built environment. At WAiC, we provide mentoring, collaboration, and requisite skills that women can use to women in academics can use to improve their research outcomes. Since this initiative started over a year ago, we have had several insightful webinars. As a group, we meet online every month to touch base and to learn a couple of things that help us in our journey as academics. And today we'll be having another insightful session. We are set for another great webinar. The title of today's webinar is Women in the Built Environment, Expectations and Survival. We have an amazing personality who will speak with us today. She's a professor of civil engineering at the University of UNISA, at the University of South Africa, University of South Africa, in South Africa. And I'm sure she has loads of information to pass across to us today. At the appropriate time, we will learn a lot about Prof from her biography. But Prof would like to say that we are most grateful to have you. We are thankful that out of your busy schedule, you found out time to come and honor our invitation today. We are so thankful. And we also like to say that we celebrate you and appreciate your work as in the department and all that you do, particularly this month in South Africa, where we're celebrating women. And we want to say we celebrate you, ma'am. And we want to quickly use this opportunity to celebrate all the great academics in South Africa. We most respectfully recognize Professor Ed Onyari for our great work as well. We also like to recognize, although they are not, some women are not here, we just want to mention them. Persons like Professor Windako of the University of Cape Town, Professor Kahilu, University of Free State. We also have some other South African academics here doing great things. We have Tandeka. Tandeka works with the Council for the Built Environment. She's also a PhD candidate at the University of Johannesburg. We also celebrate Builder Aliu. She's doing her PhD at the University of Johannesburg as well. We also, today we also remember Dr. Ntebo. She works with the CIDB as the Director of Research and Development, and many other great women in South Africa doing great things. We celebrate you this month as you celebrate, as we commiserate with you as you celebrate your Women's month. To properly situate this welcome, we have an amazing leader in our midst, Professor Twala. He's a distinguished professor, and he would properly situate this welcome for us. So, Prof, you have the floor. Thank you, sir.
Can you see me? So I think my visual is a little bit.
We can see.
It's actually, yeah, it's actually not a good one. Yeah. So what I will say, I'll just say, just good morning to those who still in the morning. I know in West Africa, so it's still in the morning. So our side, this side is actually in the afternoon. We have just passed the hour of 12. Okay. So I would just like to welcome just everyone in this Pekka forum. And first, I want just to thank in terms of the organizers. You know, we are just doing just a great job. If you're looking in terms of the women academics, actually in construction, we're looking broader in the built environment. So I think this particular forum, if you are looking in terms of Africa, there's no other forum that is actually uniting women who are academics. So I think I learned myself when I learned about this particular forum. So I just decided from the doctor now, to say, look here, I just want to be part of this particular forum. So can I join? They say, we do allow men also, because in terms of this particular journey of women empowerment, it's not only a women's issue, it's as an issue for everyone. So then I asked in terms of the doctor now, I say, Dr. Patient, and I say, I think in South Africa, in the month of August, we are celebrating just a Women's Month. So just recognizing those particular women who have contributed in terms of our history, both in the political space, academic space, industry, many women have contributed in terms of the development of South Africa and Africa as a whole. So as we celebrate this particular month, we're not only focusing in terms of women in South Africa, we're focusing in terms of women, especially in the African continent, to be specific, and other women who are just outside, the African continent. Then we say, let us look at the area. When I was discussing with the doctor now, I attend most of the presentation. So the webinar, which are organized by this particular forum. Then I say, let us look at the issue of maybe have a presentation from the engineering perspective, because just most of the presentation that we're actually having, most they come from the other sectors, not in terms of the core engineering, if you're looking in terms of that. And then when I was discussing with the doctor, I say, it's actually quite an important thing, because also in terms, I think you heard from the introduction when the doctor was talking about the issue of mentoring. So from the engineering space, also in the academic space, we also require academics in the engineering space who are gonna also do the mentoring. So we find most in the construction, quantity surveying, in the architect, we find a lot of women in academics who are doing the mentoring, but on the core engineering, so it's still a challenge. So part of this particular forum is the issue of networking, to say this particular forum is able to match those particular mentors with the mentee. So, in the academic space, which I think is playing a major role. So why this forum, I say from the beginning, is quite important. No one will come from somewhere really to address our problems. We need ourselves as Africans to be able to sort our problems. So from my side, I will say in terms of the particular topic that is being addressed by Professor Ikotun, so looking in terms of academics in the built environment, expectation and survival is quite paramount to say, how are women in the academics, in the built environment space surviving? So it's gonna be a great lesson for all of us. What is quite important, what you're gonna learn today, we must go and implement it. And then later on, we must come and evaluate, because we can't evaluate this particular webinar today based on what the professor gonna present. But out of the outcome of this particular presentation, we must go and implement. And later on, we must come now and assess to say, how far are we in terms of those particular challenges that women in academics they are currently facing and they're gonna face in the future? What must we do from the academic perspective? Otherwise, from my side, Doc, thanks so much. I would like just to welcome everyone. So I think from the College, of Science, Engineering, and Technology. So from the University of South Africa, we are quite proud just to host this particular webinar at this particular important time of the month where we're celebrating Women's Month. Let us continue to celebrate. Let us not end in August. So it must be a continuous thing that we must look at our challenges. We also celebrate our achievement. So I think that need also to this, but to say, in terms of the journey that we've traveled, of their peculiar journey so far, so that in terms of learning, those who are still young, they must also learn so they don't struggle in the journey that some of us will. So it must be a journey based on lesson. So then, colleagues, thanks so much. I'm gonna
Thank you so much, Prof.
allow you, Chair, just to continue with the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. We are grateful to have you. Thanks for your support. So we'll quickly take Professor Ibukun's we'll quickly take Professor Ibukun's citation. So we have Sinea. Sinea, you're set, I guess. Just share the screen.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Hello and welcome to this webinar on women academics in the built environment, expectations in survival. I am Sania Elias and I am lecturer in Ethiopian Institute of Architecture, Building Construction and City Development, AIBC. Thank you for your time and for joining us today. And let me introduce our speakers for today. Professor Bolanle Ikotun. Professor Bolanle Ikotun is Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, University of South Africa, which is UNISA. She has been teaching in different higher institutions for the past 20 years, where she has been involved in teaching, research, community engagement, academic citizenship, and academic leadership. She is the chair of the Departmental Research and Committee, DRIC, Civil Engineering Department, UNISA since 2021 till date. Her research interest is in the area of construction material characterization, optimization, and incorporation of industry and agricultural waste in the concrete production. She has published several articles in accredited journal, conference proceedings, and book chapters. She has served as a reviewer for several accredited journals and has served as guest editor for Materials Today, Proceedings, a Silver Journal and Minerals, and MDPI Journal, Multidisciplinary Digital Publishing Institute. As you know, this is the largest publisher of open access articles. Thank you for
Oh, sorry. Oh, I was muted. Oh, sorry, everyone. Honestly, sorry. Prof, you have the floor now.
Good afternoon from South Africa. Before I start, let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
I have to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. The presentation is showing.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Wait. Okay. I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to the WAiC, the Women Academic in Construction, for inviting me for this webinar, and also the Prof Twala that facilitate the connection. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm not taking this for granted. I want to welcome all of us again. I know we've been welcomed already to this webinar. I'm sure we'll be having a robust discussion and questions, engagement in today's webinar as it affects all of us. We are all women, and for the men that are with us, we are sure that you are also with us in spirit. You are part of us. You are interested in what happens in our field. So today's topic will be looking at the women academics in built environment, and they will be focusing on the expectations and the survival. So in today's, the presentation will go in this manner, just firstly to look at who is an academic. And I think the definition of who an academic is, we actually open our eyes to a lot of things that is expected as an academic. Then we look at the built environment and looking at some disciplines within the built environment and the activities that are involved. Then we look at some history regarding women in how did we start, like women being involved in the built environment disciplines. So we'll be looking at some information on that, and also looking at the history of women in the built environment and women academics in the built environment. We'll look at what are the activities, academic activities, that we are expected to be involved in and to excel in, because it's not just to be involved in it, but we are expected to also excel in all these activities. And based on that, we look at some challenges that we are facing, and we'll look at some nuggets that will help us to survive within this field of built environment and also being an academic. So let's go straight to what is an academic. Let me put it in the presentation mode. Okay. So an academic is a scholar, is a professional, right? In the higher citadel of learning that is involved in teaching, in research, leadership, mentoring, publishing, community engagement, management, public engagement, intellectual discourse, and providing support to the industry. So in the space of an academic, you are expected to be involved in all these activities. We'll still go deep into them as we go on in the presentation. So already, by defining what an academic is already showing a lot of work that is expected from that singular person who is an academic, either a male or a female, right? And when we look at the built environment, because now we have a lot of discipline under built environment, but the umbrella that brings all of us together, being named the built environment, is a curated space that has been developed by man to meet the needs of the society. So when we say it's developed by man, it means that there must be a development that must take place, which somebody must do. And that somebody is the people that has been part of these different disciplines under the built environment, which includes you and myself. And this space encompasses physical structures, infrastructure, and spaces. So any discipline that form under this vision, this mission of making a space to be habitable then it's formed or is classified under the built environment. And we have some of the disciplines. I put them traditional disciplines because these days we have different types of different disciplines that are springing up that can also be considered as built environment based on development for higher and all that. We'll look at some of them in the next slide and the subsequent slide. So traditionally, this discipline, architecture, urban planning, town planning, land surveying, surveyor, surveying or land surveyor, the person that is doing the surveying. We have the quantity surveying, builder, the construction management, project management, engineers, surveying in general, then estate management and valuers. All these are under built environment because they, depending on that discipline and the role that discipline is taking, is involved in, they are part of building the environment, the infrastructure, creating, turning a space, an empty space, into an habitable space that can now tell us about the development of that particular space. So when we say we have an empty space, now we have the building are being constructed, roads are being constructed, we have infrastructure, we have economic activities taking place in that space. So all these disciplines that are involved in making this to happen are under built environment. So traditionally, we have this discipline that I've listed there. So over the years, this landscape of academia and the profession associated with the built environment has evolved to become more inclusive and diverse, reflecting a broader range of perspective and talent. Because now, as technology develops, as generation goes from one generation to another, we have different disciplines that have now been incorporated into built environment. So these new disciplines have been included in the space of built environment because they also deal with space, but now in an advanced manner. Some of them we have now, these days we talk about sustainability, right? Environmental engineering, maybe previously is part of civil engineering. Now they, we have different disciplines now that are standing alone, but still be under the built environment. So when we have sustainability, this day we talk about a lot of issues around sustainability, around environmental pollution and all that. Then we look at the artificial intelligence and machine learning, which has also been incorporated into built environment. When we talk about smart buildings, when we talk about smart cities, this is the incorporation of computer knowledge into what we do. So we have interior design, interior architecture, we have space management, nanotechnology, looking at the materials that are now being used for construction and all that. So we have new discipline that are springing up that can also be included under built environment. So because of this new era of more discipline inclusion in the built environment, we have seen some increase in the number of women showing interest. In the past, apart from other challenges that we'll be seeing in, as we go on in today's lecture, we'll realize that in the past, even from the primary school, the girls in the primary school, their interest in engineering, their interest in building is very low. If you know, it's very low because that maybe based on their region, their location, what they've seen around, is not like ladylike, it's not girl-like to go into such discipline. But these days, because of the new inclusion of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all that, things that looks like, okay, I can sit in front of my computer and create something that can also be used within the built environment. So some interests are now coming in from that level. But then let's look at the built environment activities. But this is not all, but in summary, depending on this discipline, depending on the region, depending on the department that each person is, we know the built environment encompasses all of this and even more. You know, we look at efficient transportation networks is within the built environment. When we talk about the transportation engineering, urban planning, and all that, we talk about the design of buildings that meet functional, aesthetic, and environmental requirements. Another duty that we do is look at effective structural design. So when we talk about architecture, we talk about that is designing of buildings, to functional buildings. We look at civil engineering, looking at the structural design. We talk about the construction management, construction engineering, construction that are, looking at the construction that are safe, durable, and timely competent according to codes and standards. Then we look at the incorporation of eco-friendly designs, energy efficient technologies, and sustainable material. We look at the designing and maintaining parks, plaza, recreational areas, and other public spaces that can also be accessible to the disabled. Then looking at the conserving and restoring historical significant buildings and sites while introducing new designs, management of infrastructure, integrating technology for efficient urban management, data collection and automation, involving the community in planning and decision-making. All these are part of the activities that we do within the built environment. Now, it now depends on the discipline. When we talk about the discipline, we now go into depth or focus into a particular area to say, okay, as a civil engineer, what am I supposed to do within the activities of the built environment? This is not limited to it. We still have more, but within that activities, we have different section, different discipline, different expectation that we are expecting to perform in terms of our performance. So before we go, because I'm building it up on now, before we go into when we look at women academy in the built environment. But before we go into that, what is the history? I was just thinking about, okay, where did it start from? At what point were women being involved in activities around built environment in their different disciplines? And some of the information I got at what are some discipline like construction management, I tried to check where did it start from, what are those information that you can get where women were involved, but you won't really see in terms of university degree at which point the women were involved in terms of getting their degree, their academic degree. But what this table is just to tell us that as far back as 1876, we've seen women that have shown interest in built environment discipline. And as such, not just because we have a lot of women maybe that are doing some artisan here and there, draftsmen and all that, but those that have gone far into the university getting their degree. I think the first woman that got a university degree in civil engineering was in 1876. And it shows that even as far back as that, if you look at the percentage of women within the space of built environment and narrowing down into the space of academic, we are still very, 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 very low. So as far back as 1876, we've seen women showing interest and getting their degree in built environment, and we have for other departments there. So, however, between the year of 1995 and 2000, we still have very, very low involvement of women in construction, women in built environment in general. So, but these statistics, according to Wells 2000 and Sanguini 2015, it shows that the women that are involved in paid employment in construction, so when we say paid employment, both industry and academics is still very low. We have this in Latin America, like only 5% were recorded. In Western Europe, looking at different 8 countries, statistics, we have like 7.6%. In Africa, where we have sub-Saharan Africa, from 6 countries is still as low as 5.6%. In Asia, we have different the varying percentages. We have in Thailand 17.9%, in Bangladesh 17.8%, Sri Lanka 12.2%, India 5.7%, and Pakistan 1.3%. The effect, or that the percentage that we see, vary, but it also depends on the exposure, depends on the location, the region, and other factors that affect from country to country. But my interest here is that we have seen women as far back of 1876 being involved. But then looking at it going forward, we expect that the percentage should have actually increased even more than what we are seeing now. So that means there are some things that are affecting or stopping, or that are mitigating the women to actually go into these disciplines within the built environment. So looking forward onto that, we see that statistics shows that, like, about, in terms, now looking into the academic space, like about 35% of all higher education faculty globally are women. So when we look at it, when we say all faculties, looking at law, engineering, science, humanities, and all that. So statistics shows that we have about 35% of women being represented. However, in the field of education, social science, and humanities, have 53% of women being represented. So it shows that when we look at the other disciplines, when we look at the sciences, the engineering, the technology, they actually brought down that percentage to about 35% that we are talking about. So that is a pointer to us that we still have a long way to go in terms of women being represented within the sciences, within the engineering, within the built environment. So looking at the 2022 Built Environment Report, it shows that we have the profession. So when we say that means the built environment profession has around 86% men, while women account for the remaining 14%. So I think that also, like, that also give support to the first paragraph that says that we have about the 35%. So the 14% from the built environment actually contribute to that lower percentage. Please, can we all mute so that we all mute? Okay, thank you. And so over the times, we've seen women in academics that are, women academics, over the number of women academics in the built environment have risen over the time, but at the same time, not to the extent at which we are expecting, looking at where the involvement of women in built environment started from. So, but of course, we've seen women that have shown their expertise, women that have contributed. For example, we have our own person here, Professor Bolanle, which within the African frame, or South Africa, Africa in general, Nigeria, that has shown the expertise in terms of construction, and that have shown that it's possible, we can all do that. So we've seen women rising, and they have been part of so many multifaceted contemporary solutions, bringing solution onto the table. So, but however, according to UNESCO Policy Brief of 2023, the representation of women in academia tends to decrease as academic ranks progress globally. So, apart, even not just within the built environment, generally, it shows that as the ladder, academic ladder, is being climbed, as it increases, we see reduction in the representation of women. So I was reading an article and was saying that between the lecturer and senior lecturer rank, we see a lot of women either resigning or either just be on the spot, no more progression after that. So at that stage, we see that as the rank goes higher, the representation of women within the academic space are reducing, and especially within the built environment, because from the basis, the percentage of women in built environment is very low. So looking at the higher rank, we also see we see lower percentage of women. Okay, so women in built environment have increasingly pursued career in academia. So when we look at the women that are within our space, we have women in industry, we have women in academia. But over time, we've seen women showing interest, maybe from industry move to academic space. And we've seen these women that have moved to academic space, or they've started as an academic from the beginning. They've been showing, the few ones that have really taken it up upon themselves not to get tired, not to get weary within that space that we say the lecturer, senior lecturer space. And we've seen women that are taking position. We've seen women that are conducting groundbreaking research, contributing to the development within this field. So that is pointing to us that there is possibility of women rising even beyond the challenges, even beyond the problems that we'll be seeing later in the course of the lecture. So we can do it. There's this possibility in which we can rise beyond all these challenges. So the presence of women in academia has been, according to WAiC et al. 2020, said the presence of women in academia has been a catalyst for promoting diversity and inclusion within these professions. And why this is like that is because the women in academia is like the face of the women in the field, because that is the first contact that a female student will see while entering the university, polytechnic, any higher citadel in which the built environment discipline have been taught. So the first face of that female student will be the female lecturer, the female academia. And because of that, it gives a kind of motivation to this female student. It gives a kind of motivation to say, if this person can get to this level, I can also rise. So it's not totally a male-dominated discipline. We have women that have gone ahead. So the presence, the more we have women within the academic space in the built environment, the more we see more students, female students showing interest. We see less female students dropping out, because sometimes they drop out because maybe they feel they don't fit in, or their lecturers are male, the percentage of maybe 2 out of maybe 50 students. So, but the more we have more women being represented within the academic space, in this built environment, the more we see more female students showing interest and doing well in their studies. Okay, so let's look at academic activities and expectations. So we've looked at the built environment expectations, activities, and that is what we're expected to be doing depending on the discipline we are in. And now let's look at the academic activities and the expectations. So the first thing we'll look at is our teaching excellence. As an academia, with either male or female, you are expected to have teaching skill. You are expected to be able to teach. You are expected to be able to transfer the knowledge that you have to the students. You are expected to be able to impact what you know and your experience and your research findings. You are expected to be able to impact that into the student that you are teaching. So even within our space, it is still the same. And another expectation is the research productivity. Within the academic space, as an academia, you are expected to engage in research activities, and not only that, to also produce output from your research activities. And it is not just the output that you put on paper, though you are expected to publish your work. It's also output that can help the industry, that can be translated into solutions, into industry problems. So these are the expectation. You are expected to be involved in curriculum development, because from time to time, we have changes in curriculum. We things, even though when you enter academics where there are existing curriculum to use, over time that needs to be updated. It needs to be to be improved. So as an academia, either female or male, in built environment or not, you are expected to be involved in this curriculum development. You are expected to be involved in student supervision. So these are the activities within the academic space which we are expected to also be part of. So student supervision, undergraduate students, graduate students, master students, PhD students, we are expected to be involved in supervision of students. We are expected to be part of the academic citizenship. So what does that mean? It means that all the meetings, you are in the department, you are expected to be part of the department citizenship. You are expected to be part of the department meetings. You are expected to be in committees. You are expected to go out of the box of within your organization alone, to also be involved in what happens within the space of academics in general, whereby you are expected to serve maybe as an examiner for another institution. You are expected to be a mentor, even to, okay, we'll go to mentoring, but what all these activities within the academic space, we are expected to also be part of that. We are expected to develop ourselves professionally. If you don't have your PhD yet, you are expected to go and get your PhD. You are expected to study further. You are expected to improve yourself within the profession. You are expected to mentor, depending on the rank and the level that you have within the academic space. You are expected to mentor the junior ones. You are expected to be a mentor even to your students. And again, you get to a level whereby the leadership aspect is also on you. You are expected to provide a successful leadership in the position where you are in, even within your faculty, within your department, even in your class with the student that you are teaching and the student you are supervising. You are expected to provide leadership. You are expected to provide leadership training, or provide leadership ability. Yes, leadership ability to be able to lead them in the right path within the profession. We are expected to also be involved in community engagement. Depending on the space you have, depending on your institution, in some institution like at UNISA, we have a portfolio which is community engagement, which every faculty must be part of. So you are expected to also, not only within the academy, you are expected to extend your knowledge, extend your impact to the community. Another expectation that we had to do is, as long as you are within the academic space, you are also expected to collaborate with other academics, collaborate with the industry, collaborate with other institutions, research collaboration. So all this we are expected to be in. have proposals for grant application. We are expected to get grants for particular projects you are working on, your research. You are expected to apply for grants, and not just only apply for the grant, but being successful with the grant application. And we are expected to also be involved in networking, which we can get from conference. We are expected to to go for conference, present your work, and give opportunity for networking. So with all this expectation, plus what we have within the built environment, so women academics, because now we are looking at women academics within our space of built environment, we are expected to be effective in fulfilling the built environment activities mandate and also fulfill the academic activities mandate simultaneously. So the expectation is to be relevant within the industry and also to be relevant within the academic. So in terms of relevance within the industry, is that is where the collaboration with the industry comes in. That is when within your space of academia, you are providing solution to the problems that the industry is facing. So we have to be relevant in the R&D of the industry, and we also have to be relevant within the activities that we have in the academic space. So the challenge now is looking at the enormous expectation that is on us, and and how to achieve, because it's not just to be part of you. We need the expectation. The expectation is for us to be effective in all these activities. So this now brings about some challenges that we face, because now we have this goal in front of us. We have this goal to achieve in meeting the mandate of the industry, meeting the mandate of the industry, and also meeting the mandate within the academic space. And we want to marry both together and be successful in both. So looking at that, there are some challenges that we face that makes it difficult sometimes for us to achieve this. And that is why along the line, you will see some people dropping to say, no, I can't do this too much. Or if they don't drop, they just stay at that level wherever they are. They say, okay, I will just be here. So you don't see that progression that is expected, because the expectation is very, very enormous. So we look at some of the challenges that we face as academics in built environment. We look at the work-life balance. So as we have this goal we want to achieve, but apart from all this I've mentioned, we now have our external influence, which is the family, which is general life. Then one of the challenges, how do I, as a woman in built environment that is also an academic, how will I be able to balance my work, to fulfill all these mandates, to fulfill all these activities, and at the same time meeting the challenges of my personal life, your home, your family? We look at the family commitment in terms of women involvement in family commitment. You have, if you are depending on your status, if you are married, you are single, you are divorced, you are unmarried, there are commitments as a woman that, apart from all this we've talked about in terms of our profession, and then in academics, apart from all that, we still have other commitments that need our attention, that also we need to win in those commitments. We need to also be successful in those commitments. We look at family commitment in terms of children, in terms of getting pregnant. You are pregnant, at the same time, you still need to fulfill all these mandates. You see, these are some of the challenges we face. Sometimes it's culture. In some culture, women are not being regarded as being as smart as men. In some culture, women are seen as a second figure to men in some culture. So that the women in those environments, in those locations, find it difficult to express themselves and stood their ground and fulfill all these mandates we've talked about in terms of the industry and also in the academics, and again be feeling confidence in themselves. They find it so difficult to be confident in themselves because the culture has already given a definition of who they should do, who a woman should be, and what a woman should do. Sometimes it's abuse, like sexual harassment in the workplace, either in industry or in academics. Some of this thing happens, and when it happens, it demoralizes the woman, and maybe the ambition to even progress or even go ahead with whatever they are doing, it drops. So some of these challenges that we face, or the women face, is sexual harassment, sometimes career development, because at the time you are trying to develop your career, you are also trying to maintain your home, you are also trying to take care of your children, you are also trying to make sure that everything is in place within the family setting, you are also trying to make sure that other aspects of your life is working well. So it's sometimes all this also affect how we see women improving in their career. And again, we look at the working condition. The working condition can sometimes be overwhelming, because if you look at all what I've mentioned in terms of what is expected and the activities, if you have to do everything and to be successful in all of this, you at a point to realize it's too overwhelming. Then it also depends on the environment that you work in. It depends on the institution, the policy of that institution, what is the practice there, because sometimes it's easier in one location, to the other, depending on the practice within that institution. So if an academic is being given 5 modules to take, for example, and at the same time, that is teaching alone. Remember, it's not just only teaching. You still have to do research, you still have to do community engagement, you still have to do academic citizenship, you still have to be part of those meetings. So if teaching alone, you've been overloaded with so many modules, then it becomes a challenge. And remember, our threshold in accepting pressure is different from person to person. Some people have they have limited grace to work under pressure, so it overweighs them, it overwhelms them, and at the end of the day, they get tired of it and they either resign or either just stay in the status quo and say, no, it's fine, I will just remain in this position. So the working condition can be a challenge. And also we look at discrimination. And this also depends on the region where you are, the location where you are, the country where you are, and the people you're working with. It may not be a general problem, but of course, some women feel discriminated within this field of built environment, especially when they work in an environment whereby women are not regarded the way they should be regarded, or women we have limited, maybe just few women within that space, and depending on the men they are working with also, sometimes what they say, the actions and all that, a woman can feel discriminated. So we have all these challenges. So the question now is, now we have expectations. And remember, if you are in academics, your expectation is not just within the academic, the expectation is also within the industry, because the built environment is not just a field whereby we go to class, we teach and we leave. No, it's not theory, it's practical, right? So the built environment have its own expectation to say, to be a professional within this built environment, these are the things you need to these are the expectations. So even though you are in academics as a woman within the built environment, you still have expectation as far as the profession is concerned. So now we look at those expectations which we've mentioned earlier, And based on that, we look at the challenges that we may face. Then how do we now manage? Let me put that. How do we manage the expectation? And looking at those challenges, how do we solve these challenges to such that we can be able to manage the expectation and be successful and be able to bring results that is expected of us. So then we'll be looking at some survivor skill or some ways at which we can adopt to survive within the space that we find ourselves, right? So we'll be looking at some nuggets to survive as a woman academic in the built environment. So the background is you are a woman, you are in academics, and you are in the built environment. So you have expectation within your profession, which is the built environment. You have the expectation as an academic, right? And you have other expectation because you are a woman. So you have other expectation that is outside your daily work as an academic, that is outside your profession as as somebody within the built environment, which is expected of you as a woman. So we'll be looking at this, and I think we can deliberate on them later on. I think the first thing I want us to look about is that, to survive in this environment that we are in, to survive as an academic, to survive as a professional in built environment, and to survive as a woman. So first, we just have to know that we don't have answers for everything. We don't know everything. So we should be free to ask questions in areas where we know we don't have answers for. I want us to think about ourselves and also looking at the aim of progressing, the aim of producing, the aim of meeting expectation. Sometimes you get to a stage where you think, oh, I'm not sure of one or two things, but instead of you to assume or to just put it aside and say, no, I'm not sure, I'm not going to do this way, we should learn to ask questions. We should learn to know that we are not a monopoly of knowledge. We can ask questions, and that's when we improve. Once you ask the question, you get the answers. It helps you to take that decision that you want to take. Another thing we'll be looking at is focus. It's easy to get distracted. There are so many things that can distract us. Just like I said, apart from your space of work, apart from the profession, there are other external things that can distract. But if we try to focus on what we plan to do, it helps us to fulfill our mandate, some of our mandates. For example, you have prepared in your heart to say, okay, I want to get my PhD, for example, right? And in the course of getting your PhD, we allow other things that that are not helping us towards getting that PhD. We allow them to distract us. And remember, when you get distracted, by the time you go back to that state of mind of continuing, it takes you far back before you gain the momentum again. So in whatever we do, is it career progression? Is it professional development? Is it our research, our teaching? We should find a way to have a frame of mind of focus. If it is just 2 hours you want to spend on that thing, make sure that 2 hours you are focusing on that particular item you want to work on. If, for example, you want to prepare your teaching materials, right? And you say, okay, these 2 hours, I'm using these 2 hours just to do my teaching material. Let that 2 hours be dedicated for that teaching material. Social medias are there, your phone is ringing, WhatsApp message is coming in. all these are distractions, and and because we get distracted easily, it makes it difficult for us to achieve what we plan to achieve within the frame of time that we plan to achieve it. And once we lose time, because remember, all the activities and the expectations, there are many. So once we lose time, we also lose time on getting to that deadline or expectation that is required of us. So let's learn to focus. Let's learn to prepare our mind to do whatever we plan to do within the frame of time we've allocated for that thing to be done. Another way to survive is we have to be proactive. There are so many things you need to be done. You want to succeed in all of them. So you can't waste time. You know, when we start to learn to be proactive, when move the next one, it helps to achieve a lot. So we should not procrastinate when it's time to take action, to do things. You want to read an email, you want to respond to an email, you know, you need to write a proposal. You know, we don't push it forward to say, okay, I will do that tomorrow. Let's plan ourselves. And I think the next one will be planning our time. Let's plan ourselves in such a way that we can take action when it's needed to take the action. And the next one is to develop time management skill, because there are so many things to be done. We have limited time to do them. So the time, you know, we must learn how to manage our time. We must learn how to have priorities, to say, okay, today, these are the things I would like to achieve today. This is my number one priority for today. And we stick to that, and we manage time. You know, if we need to go for training on time management skill, whatever, let's do it, because we need that time to succeed in our field. Another nugget we'll be looking at is self-advocacy. This one, you know, is sometimes when we say we have limited number of females in the higher rank, or as we say, as rank advances, we see number of men reducing. But sometimes there is something about men that they, even if they don't know how to do that thing fully, maybe they just have the idea, and there is a call to say, we need somebody to volunteer for this or to do this. You will see they just, you know, they volunteer themselves easily without even thinking about it. Some of the time they have to learn the job, you know, they have to learn on the job, or they have to, you know, maybe do some trainings and all that. But the first reaction will not be, no, I can't do it, or no, I don't think I will be able to do it, or no. So let's learn to also raise our hands when there is a need, when there is a call, because that's how we also, you know, don't let us look down on ourselves and our ability. So let's be our self advocate. Let's advocate for ourselves. So if there is an opportunity to serve in a committee, you know, serve. If there's an opportunity to do something within the academic citizenship, let's raise our hand. Let's not look down on ourselves, and let's believe in the ability that we have. Another focus I would say, and nugget I would say to survive, is to, you know, let's learn to meet new people, because networking helps. Sometimes that is when we talk about the collaboration, because it's one of the expectations. But how do you get collaboration when you don't meet people, when you don't talk to people? So let's, the conferences is an avenue whereby we meet a lot of people within our area, or even not within our area, in other areas, whereby by the time we meet new people, we talk about what we do, our research, you know, we get network. That is why we expand our network within the space of academy. So we have to attend conferences if we are to meet people, to network. It also helps us to refresh and know what we know. It helps us to learn new things. because when we listen to other people talk about what they do, it also expands our mind to what we can do even better within our space. Then continuous learning. We can't say, okay, I've learned everything. No, we need to have that spirit of learning continuously. It may not be a formal education whereby you have to register, an informal learning. There are so many platforms, online these days whereby you can learn so many skills. So as we talk about the time management skill, you can learn about leadership skill, you can learn about the general management skill, you can learn about people relationship. So we can learn, we have to have that mind of learning continuously. Like even as we are having different webinars, it's also part of learning. It's part of increasing what we know. Another thing which is very important is to be aware of the policy within your organization. You have to know what is policy saying regarding 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if you are not aware, for example, let's say in your institution there is a policy that's in which it helps researchers. Maybe you just need to fill a form and whatever, and you will be supported maybe financially or so. And if you don't know that something like that is existing, you will be missing out of those opportunities. For example, we talked about sexual harassment within the space where we work. If something like that happens, what is the policy saying? What will be our reaction? What should be our action? What steps should we take? So within the space where we have, different institutions have their own policy for different things, but we should be aware of them. We should know what is expected. If you are to take maternity leave, for example, what is the policy saying regarding maternity leave? In terms of how many months you should go, is it pay or is it not pay? What are those things that are there that can help you to function well within your space? Because sometimes we take up more things to do because we don't know what the policy is saying regarding that. Maybe we are not even supposed to be doing that which we've taken as admin. Know what the policy says. We need to be aware of that within the space where we work. Then we talk about self-motivation. I think this is related to also saying that self-advocacy, whereby you motivate yourself. You don't wait for other people. Of course, we get motivation. We motivate ourselves through networking, our friends, where we work, family. But then we should also be able to motivate ourselves. Sometimes you sit down on your own without talking to anybody and ask yourself questions and say, why am I here? Why am I in this space? Why am I in built environment? For example, why am I an academic? What do I want to achieve? Apart from what the discipline and everybody is asking or what these expectations are, but personally, what do I want to achieve? What are the things that I want to see at the end of the day and say, yes, I have made it, based on your own self-assessment. So we need to be self-motivated. We need to create that take time to just reflect. Take time to reflect, and we talk to ourselves, we ask questions, and that is why we get motivated. Okay. Sometimes we see rejection here and there within our space. Rejection can be, maybe you've submitted a paper for publication and it's been rejected. Maybe you've applied for a promotion, you were not given the promotion. All this affects us, right? But how do we survive this? Rejection is part of the process, it's part of the journey. But what do we do when we are rejected for one thing? Or for example, if you've written a paper and you are rejected, the first thing to look at is, what are the reviewers saying? How can I improve this document? How can do I need to do more work in the lab? Do I need to do more interviews? Do I need to do more to get more response based on questionnaire, depending on what you are working on? So, but you just need to think about the feedback you've got, and rejection should not put us in a place of depression. It should not put us in a place where we now think, I can't do it. No. Sometimes rejection actually helps us to be better, because now we think about it and we improve on ourselves and we get better. So even if, for example, you've applied for a promotion and that is not given to you for one thing, for one reason or the other, check those reasons, check them out and say, okay, maybe you've not met some of the criteria, and you look at it, okay, I've not met it, so how do I improve myself to meet this criteria such that next time I put down my application, it will not be rejected. So when we get rejection, please don't look at it from the negative angle. Look at it in a positive way and say it also helps to build ourselves such that we do better after all. Okay. The next one is networking and collaboration. I think we've talked about it. We talked about it in terms of conferencing. We talked about it as what is expected also from us. But networking and collaboration actually help us. It's like a fuel that fuel our eagerness to work, because especially in this generation whereby there is no when you talk about your field, it is not a mono path any longer. It's not just a one-way path any longer. If you really want to do a groundbreaking research, for example, you cannot just say, okay, I'm staying only on my lane. You need to collaborate with other people in other fields that will make that work you are doing, that will make it an holistic study. So we collaborate with other disciplines. You can collaborate with other colleagues outside and within your university. You network. You see where the interests are that brings all together, and we work in that space. So another way we can survive in our field is to network, is to collaborate, is to see where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. Then you look for a collaborator that has the strength in where you are weak, and by the time you come together, you have you get the result that you cannot achieve if you are alone. We role as an academic, our role professional, and our role as a woman. We need support systems. There is no way we can survive combining all this and succeed in all of them if we are alone. We need support system, and we should accept those support systems. Sometimes you see people that want to assist you to do one or two things, but you just feel, no, I want to do it on my own. Let's allow people to support us. The support system can be your sister, it can be your friend, it can be your spouse, it can even be the help that you have in the house. So instead of you doing all the house chores, maybe you have somebody that is helping you. Appreciate that person because it's part of your support system. That person is helping you to get time, because the time you'll be using to do all that, you have it to focus on other things that matters within the space of expectation that you are in. So even those helps that we get here and there, we should not look at them and say they are simple. Let's appreciate them. Sometimes we get help maybe for those that have little children and, they need attention and all that. Maybe you have some help that is helping you, your nannies and all that for the kids. We should also appreciate that help, because they are giving us time to focus on other aspects of our expectation and to be able to succeed in those aspects. So let's accept support system. If we don't have support system, let's create support system. Let's have people we can talk to, we can relax with, people that can help us in areas. For example, when you are going for a conference, you cannot be in two places at the same time. So you go for a conference, you must have a system that helps you to keep your home when you were not there. So we need these support systems to be able to achieve or to survive the expectation and the space we find ourselves. We also talk about the support group. So when a support group is different from support system, support group, depending on who you have, for people of faith that maybe they have group of people that they share the same faith with, it helps, because apart from, these support groups, I will give example. For example, if you are a Muslim, for example, you go to mosque, you have people there, right? You have groups. Apart from, this group is different from your work. It's not something else, something new, something different that you can just relax your tension with. You don't need, it's not a group whereby you talk about your research or you talk about all those can be done within your network and collaborators. But this kind of group it can be in a church. Maybe you have a group in a church whereby you talk about something else totally from your work and all that, so that you can refresh. So this support group help us to refresh. They help us to refresh our mind, our spirit, so that by the time we go back into our space of work, we are already coming from a refreshed mind. So support group is very, very important. And lastly, and see the time is going, lastly, I just want to say, also breathe. Take time to relax. Take time to reward yourself. Maybe you have achieved something. You've written a proposal, grant proposal, you've submitted, you've been given the proposal, something. It doesn't have to be that you've achieved everything, but you've made some achievement, you've made some success in what we're doing. Just take time to relax. If you can go for spa, you can go to a restaurant, you can go for a vacation, you can take time to sleep, watch movie, just anything that interests you that will make you to relax. Let's reward ourselves as anytime we have a kind of achievement, even if it is not a kind of but you've taken time to work and you need to relax. Please don't feel guilty when you are relaxing. And lastly, in conclusion, I would say the expectations of women academics in built environment are so enormous. So with adequate support and application of different survival skills, they can all be achieved. So I think we can discuss more, but I will say thank you from my side for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. This was an exciting lecture, and we really appreciate it. It was a great delivery. Thank you so much. Like Prof said, we'll be going into the discussion very soon. But before we do that, let's just take some pictures now that we still have a sizable number of people in the house. Let's just quickly take some pictures. So we'll call Mrs. Jumai to help us with the picture session. Ma, you can please stop sharing your screen.
Okay. Am I still sharing?
Yes, you are. Okay, it's fine. It's fine now.
Okay.
Okay, so Jumai, are you there? To help us with the pictures.
Yes, I'm there, but the screen is dark at the moment. Let me see. Hold on.
No, don't worry, just coordinate it. I'll take from.
Okay. Put on their camera, please. I want to take a picture. I can only see I can't see everyone else for the photograph. Okay, hold on, sorry, hold on.
Please, can we put on our pictures? Okay, Jumai, are you set? Some pictures are still, and we still need to have some more pictures. I mean, some more faces. We need to see your beautiful faces. Let's turn on our cameras. Yes, yes. Yes, can we have more cameras on? Okay, how is it now? Are you set for us? Oh, okay. She's experiencing some difficulty. Okay, so can we say at the count of 3, can we say WAiC? 1, 2, 3, WAiC. 1, 2, 3, WAiC. We want to see the smiles. We want to see the smiles. 1, 2, 3, WAiC. 1, 2, 3, WAiC. Okay. Okay, can we have it again? 1, 2, 3, WAiC. WAiC.
WAiC.
Great. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Let me take it now. Yes.
Okay, you want to try it from your end? Okay. Yes, we're waiting, Jumai. Okay, for time's sake, I actually took them from my end, Jumai. So for time's sake, I think we are good. Don't worry, I took the pictures from my side and I'll share in due course. Thank you so much, Jumai, for your help. It happens at times, internet and its challenges. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your effort. Okay, so quickly now we'll go to the discussion sessions. Just to put perspective to what Prof has shared with us today. So we'll have Professor Ed Onyari from UNISA. She would, I think she has the floor now. Prof, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to engage in the platform. From my end, I would like to thank Prof. Ikotun in regards to what she has shared with us. I could say we actually applaud her, even if it's a virtual one, but we should appreciate what she has shared with us. It has been quite a lot of information. And with that, I really appreciate and say thank you, Prof. Ikotun, for the amount of information that you have actually put forward. Now, from my end, I think there's a lot of things that we could like to discuss. And I appreciate the way you have taken it from the beginning to actually come up with the story in terms of having the very first female engineer in 1876 to actually have obtained an engineering qualification. And that said, then we actually see that regardless, we've not quite improved in terms of the numbers. The numbers are still low. We see the numbers are still low, regardless that there is effort. And since if we're talking of 18 something, we should actually by now even be coming closer to 50%, but that is not kind of taken place. Another point of concern that from my end that really touched me is that, and it's true that in the built environment, especially the engineering side, you're gonna find that the number of women as you go higher in the ranks, it actually reduces. At the lecturer position, you're gonna find, yes, you've got a number of women, but to make it through the ranks to full professorship, it becomes something that is not easily available, or we do not have the numbers. And therefore the question is that what is going on there? Is it the amount of the work that is there, and why are we actually not having a lot of women getting into the higher ranks? So that is really a question for thought. Now, I appreciate the way you have brought in the expectation, everything that an academic should be looking at, and also kind of coming up with points in terms of how to address it. Now, from myself as the COD, I think I appreciate this more in terms of the policies, and I appreciate that because mostly you will be having opportunities, but if you do not know about them, then you're not going to actually tap into them. And you gave a very good example in terms of the maternity leave, in terms of even incentives. You know, there is a lot of things that exist out there, but you're not going to be aware of them because probably you're just waiting for office politics or waiting to hear from the corridors, and you're not aware about these things. So it is very important that we as women, that we be aware in terms of what are the policies of the university in the first place? What is it that I can do? What is it that I can't do? And sometimes you might be overlooked because you didn't know something. But if you've gone through the policy, you can say no, but I think probably let's look at it differently. Maybe we should have approached it this way. So I appreciate that. In terms of one other thing, in terms of collaboration, I think that is a very good point in terms of all of us actually tapping. It's more of teamwork. It's more of enhancing. It's more of building. And sometimes if you try to build alone, you find that you can actually build alone to a given extent. But if you give it an opportunity to tap into expertise, then you're likely to build up stronger and a wider kind of scope. So I appreciate the collaboration there in terms of us really trying to expand our knowledge and collaborate. And one question then that I would want you probably to attend to is, how do you maximize collaboration efforts? If you can actually maybe give a bit information there in terms of maximizing collaboration, because sometimes you can know this person, you can know that person, the expertise, you can think maybe, for example, I can actually be able to do this and that. But we need those collaboration efforts to actually bear fruit. And the question then is, how do we maximize the collaboration efforts? Yeah, so I don't really want to go through the whole thing, but I think I will stop there just for the sake of time. But maybe on the last note of self-reward, I think it's a very important point. And probably as women, I think we do not do that often. We actually don't do that often. We don't self-reward, and sometimes without the guilt. After we've done it all, we need to appreciate ourselves. Maybe one more point to add on my end, I think, is the power of no. And the power of no is that sometimes, especially if we are easy to say yes, and you're gonna find, especially because with an academic, with lots of things that are coming to your way, especially if you're the person who always says yes, you will always find, do this, yes, do that, yes. At the end, you find that you're overwhelmed. And therefore, it is important that we also learn the power of no, to actually know that at this moment, I can't be able to bite this much, and I cannot be able to take this, to add this on. And that should be said graciously, not in a way that should be seen that you actually not supportive. So I think, Prof. Ikotun, I think I've got one question there, but I will then end it there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Am I supposed to respond now?
Yes, please, Ma.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Oyari, for that contribution. And the question is noted. You said how to maximize collaboration effort. I think from me, what I will say here is that we have to, before we even start any collaboration idea or whatever, the first thing to think about is that, who am I collaborating with? Because we have people, of course, as we are in the same field of built environment, we still have our own interest. We have our own expertise. We have our own maybe research mind, research interest. So I think the first thing to even talk about maximizing collaboration is the foundation of that collaboration. Why are we collaborating? On what purpose? On what area do we want to collaborate? So the first thing is to first find people that you know will add to you. Okay, they had to you, and you also adding to them. So, for example, if your research, let me give an example. My research is on materials for construction, yes. But remember that for any material research, you have to understand the chemistry behind it. And as an engineer, my level of chemistry may not be to the extent of the way I want that research to advance. So what will I do? I look for a collaborator who has that advanced understanding of materials chemistry. Maybe somebody in chemistry, somebody in chemical engineering, depending on the project. So from the foundation, I already know this is what this person is bringing to the table. And this is what I am bringing to the table. So the foundation of the collaboration must be sure. You must know exactly. It's not like, oh, she's my friend, let's work together, when there is no basis for working together. So it's not the matter of a friendship thing. Of course, at the end of the day, the collaboration may lead to friendship and all that. But in terms of collaborators, the foundation must be clear. This is why this person is coming. This is why I'm bringing. Then when that has been established, then the question will now be, okay, we want to work on this project together. This is your expertise. This is my expertise. We bring it together. Then we expect to have a very successful project. So now this project, let there be plans to say, okay, are we applying for funding? Okay, if you're applying for funding, let's put together a proposal. Okay, now we have the proposal. Where are we submitting the proposal? There must be plans. So it's not something we just say, I'm collaborating, then everybody just, let me collaborate with you. With no basis, with no idea, with nothing that you have in mind to achieve from that collaboration. So first, there must be a solid foundation for why the collaboration is being built. Then the second one is, what are the things you want to achieve? So if you are if there is a need for MOU between the two institutions in case the collaboration is from other institutions, that's what then we talk about this policy again. what is it in your institution in terms of having this MOU in that institution, in terms of having those MOU. So, but there must be proper planning. And again, I will say another thing to maximize our collaboration is that once we have the foundation is clear, everybody knows what they are bringing in, and also we have plan. Then let us put our effort into making it to work. Because sometimes maybe they call for meetings, you always give excuse, and maybe this date, maybe you are 3 in that group that you are collaborating on something, and they call for a meeting, you were not there. The next meeting they call you, and indirectly you are demoralizing the effort of the other, and before you know it, that will be the end of that collaboration. But if everybody within the team are putting in their best, you call for meeting, you do the, you attend the meeting, you do the, before you know it, you are getting stronger and stronger. You have a proposal, you have the grant. Before you know it, becomes something very big, and you see the fruits of that collaboration. So how to maximize collaboration? The starting point is important. Have a solid foundation, have plans that you follow, and be committed to that collaboration.
Thank you, Prof, for your responses. So now we'll quickly go to Dr. Chinwe Sam Amobi. I don't know if she's online. Doc, are you online, please? Except maybe you are going by another name here. Let's see, I can't see her. Okay.
Yes, I'm online. Yes, I'm online. Yes, I'm online. Yes, I'm online. I'm online.
An echo. Oh, great, great. Okay, let's have you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Doc, we are waiting. Okay, while she puts herself together, can we have Toluwanimi? Toluwanimi, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Great. Yeah.
Here. Good day, everybody. Thank you, Ma, for the amazing talk that we just had. My question is, as a young educator, as a young teacher, apart from mentoring and all the things you have mentioned, how can I, what activities, what classroom activities can I bring up to attract young girls to academics, whether, yes, that's the question I really want to ask, because you said something very exciting. You said that the first phase of a woman, of the females or the girls, is in the classroom. So how can I, and then we've seen with the statistics that, you know, the women in education generally are declining. What can I do as a young educator, and like especially in the classroom, the platform that I have, what exactly can I do? That's my question.
Okay. So when you say young educator, in what platform? Is it in the secondary school, high school? Which?
Yes, high school, level? Secondary school.
High school. Okay. So I think as a educator, as a science educator, I believe, science educator now, because when we talk about involvement of women, actually when we look at it from, of course, we look at the academics and all that, but before we even look at that, we first have to look at the girls. Those are the ones in the high school, the one in the secondary school, because if they don't choose sciences, then there is no way they can end up being in our built environment. So I think as a female educator, because you are also a female yourself, you will be able to preach the gospel of science, if I can put it like that, to the female student more than a male. So for the fact that you are even a female educator, it's also is a plus already. Then I think is to give awareness, what you can do at your secondary school students, high school students, is to first let them be aware of the possibility of what they can achieve if they go into sciences. Because the thing is, some of the things, it's not that they don't want to go, but they see it as, number one, a male-dominated field, and number two, because it's male-dominated, they feel, well, I may not excel or excel if I go fully into those professions. So the awareness is important. And of course, we can't force all the girls to do it, but it also depends on their ability. But you can see in some girls that are so good in their sciences, in their mathematics, that that this person will excel in engineering, in construction, in architecture. So it's those girls that we need to encourage. It's those girls that we need to. So what you can do as the teacher, once you identify those students that have those ability, is to maybe engage them one-on-one and just ask them general questions. Like, okay, what do you like to do? And they can give you, okay, I like this, but already you've seen in their school work that they are very good in drawing, for example. They are very good in mathematics. So once you have that conversation, you can now tell them more about other fields or in sciences that they can go into. You can ask them questions. Do you know that we have female engineers that are doing great? If you can Google for some names and example and their achievements, and you can tell them about those achievements. So, but that conversation is needed. We need to have that conversation. At UNISA, we have a group for community engagement. We call it Girl Power. Go to high school, which is secondary school in Nigeria, is high school here in South Africa. We go to high school between grade 8 and 11. That is like GS2, SS1, something like that. So we encourage the girls there. We talk about sciences, about engineering, encourage them, so that, because that is when they start catching the interest. That is where we can now win them into sciences, into engineering, into our field. So we encourage them, and we extend to the extent that there is a small research topic that we give to them. They go and research it and put it together in terms of science. They will be giving different topics, research it around, but it's towards sciences, engineering, so that they can increase. The purpose of that is just to increase their interest. Because once they have interest, then you can't the interest is important. Once they have interest in sciences and those field of discipline within the built environment, then that is when, from high school, from secondary school, they enter into the university. Then they now become part of the statistics we are talking about, to say, okay, we now have this number of women. But from your space, you are in a very good space to actually create that awareness, talking to them, encouraging them. You understand? So that is what you can do, is just to be the face, our face in that space that you have.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much for your response, Ma. Yes, let's have you, Doc. Dr. Miriam, you're waiting.
I'm typing my
Okay, we'll pick it. Okay, I think she has some challenges. We'll pick that questions from the chat when she's done. So the floor is open to everyone. We can still engage our distinguished speaker. We can still engage her. We can ask questions. We can make our comments at this point. Yes, the floor is open. Questions, comments, contributions. Okay. Okay, the question is, how do we get opportunities for postdoc short internships to encourage our collaborations in the built environment? How do we get opportunities for postdoc short internships to encourage our collaborations in the built environment?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. In terms of post, I think it depends from one university to another, but I'm sure there are so many opportunities to be a postdoc. But how do we get those opportunities? Number one, awareness. What do I mean by awareness? You can see in different groups, I don't know, even here, we'll see some people posting advertisement to say we need postdoc in this area of research in this university. So I think how we can get the opportunity is just to look for the opportunity. I don't know how to explain that. How we get the opportunity is to look for the opportunity. So for example, let me give example. We talk about networking, right? We talk about collaboration. This is one of the opportunity, or this is one of the things that we gain when you network with other people. For example, you go for a conference. So when you go for a conference, you don't just go and listen and leave. You you network with other people. You take their contact details, you take their email address, and now you see that, okay, I'm now interested, I want to go for a postdoc. You can send emails to all those people you've gotten their details to say, I'm interested in doing my postdoc in this area. Please, is there opportunity in your university? Or do you have any collaborator that needs a postdoc? So before you know it, by the time you write some emails, you will see response. And because in terms of postdoc, policy differs from different universities. Some university, the advertisement has to be out before you can apply. In some university, there is no need of advertisement. You just need to talk to a host in that department that is ready to take you, and there is a form you will fill, and that is it. So, but you need to find out, okay, what is attainable in this university, and how you can do that is the networking. You need to know people you talk to. Sometimes you don't know anybody. For example, if your interest is to go to a particular university, for example, my interest is to go to Durban University of Technology, for example. I go to their website. I don't know anybody, right? Their website, maybe I want to do my postdoc in civil engineering. I go to the civil engineering staff profile. Then from that staff profile, I see people that are working in my area. Then I send email to them and say, and when you send email, please let the email be professional. Sometimes you receive email and you just discard because the way this person is even talking is, but you put the email in a proper way. You introduce yourself, and you tell them about your research area, and you tell them you like to do your postdoc, is there opportunity? And it's not all the time that you don't get response. Sometimes you don't get response, that is true. But sometimes you get response, and maybe the response will just be, okay, can I have your CV? Because the CV is like your face. They want to know, they want to have the understanding, who is this person? What has this person worked on before? What is the research of this person? To know if I can take you as my postdoc, if we can work together. You understand? But the first thing I will say is networking. How to get opportunities, networking. And through those networking, you tell them you need this. They can also introduce it to other people. For example, now we've talked with, we've seen ourselves. You can send me an email to say, okay, Prof, I want to do postdoc in this area. If it is not, if I don't have that window in my university or department to get a postdoc, I can send your interest to another colleague or in another university or any of my collaborators somewhere else. That is how we connect. That is why we get those opportunities. So getting opportunity for postdoc, I think it is very, very easy. First, use your network. If you don't have enough response from your network, go to the website of the university you are interested in, send emails to the faculties or the staff that you see that is working in your area. And at the end of the day, by the time you put all these efforts together, you will get a position.
Thank you so much for your response, Ma. Ma, I have 3 questions. The first one, I just want to find out what actually inspired you into studying civil engineering? What inspired you? Of all
Okay,
the environment courses, you chose civil engineering. Why is that?
Okay, why did I choose civil engineering? Okay, did I even choose civil engineering? Maybe we should start from that.
Okay.
Okay. In my high school, in my secondary school, my best subject at the time was further mathematics. Okay. So I love mathematics. Further mathematics. I just fell in love with those 2 subjects. So my dad wanted me to go into medicine, but I said, no, I can't. I don't know. I don't just have any flair for biology. But anything mathematics, anything calculation is just like, there is this joy that always comes when we have mathematics exam or further mathematics exam. I just have that joy because I know this is my strength. So from that, I know that I will go for anything engineering. At the time, I did not. That's why I'm talking about this awareness now. Like the other person that talked, Toluwanimi, in terms of you have a great opportunity to influence these children. Seriously, you have that because you are in that space to talk to them. But in my time, I didn't know the difference between different engineering to say electrical, civil. What I don't know. I didn't know at the time, but I just know that I'm going for engineering because I know engineering is about calculation. And I love calculation. So that was just it. It's not like because I know a civil does this, and so I did not know that. But I said, okay, engineering. So I got admission to a polytechnic for electrical engineering. So for me, I don't know which one is. So I just know engineering. Once it's engineering, I'm okay. I'm going. So so I went in there for electrical engineering. It was a polytechnic of Ede Polytechnic then, but I didn't finish a session because along the line, while still in school, I got admission to FUTA to read civil engineering. And because it's also engineering, I went for it. So I left there in the electrical engineering. I went to Federal University of Technology, Akure in Nigeria. I went for civil engineering, but I love it actually. I didn't regret being there. I loved the course. I loved the environment. I was doing well. So that's how I ended up being a civil engineer.
Great. It's nice to know, but I'll quickly say we are great Futarians because I'm actually from Futa as well. So it's good to know.
Welcome.
Yeah, so I'll ask the second question. How have you been able to manage gender stereotypes? Like we all know, it's not news that the built environment is a male-dominated environment. So for you, how did you manage all this while you've risen through the ranks and become a professor? How did you manage with these gender stereotypes?
Okay, I think I will talk from my own personal perspective, I believe. So in terms of, to me, really, of course, we know that our field is male dominated. We've seen it in statistics and all that. But on a personal level, to me, I don't see those male colleagues as male. I just see them as colleagues, even right from school. You know, I just know that, okay, I have to do what I have to do. They have to do what they have to do. It still is the same to me. I don't see you as a female. I don't see you as a male. I see you as a person, a colleague, working together, and that is it. So that idea of male, female is not really something I think about or that has really affected me. Even while in school, while in my undergraduate, in the class, we were 45. right? And we had only three ladies. So we had 43 men and 3 girls, 43 boys, 3 girls, right? But even at that mentality of they are men, we are female, did not come, I just relate with everybody as classmates. And that has been the thing from the beginning. So I don't see it as male must exceed more than me. Even then in our class, I came the best in the class, even as a female, but it doesn't really even enter my head to say it's a female. We are just colleagues, right? We are colleagues. So for me, I think the way I have gone through and it has really helped me is that mentality of male, female was not there. Even till now, it's not there. I see my male colleagues as my colleague. I see if I have issues, problems, I don't say, oh, I want to go to a man to ask. I ask. We are working towards the same goal. So that has helped me. So even in going through the ranks, it's not of course we have place of hard work, we have place of different things we've talked about, but also I think I have very strong support system. I have very strong people that, if I go for conference, I know my children are well taken care of. I have good colleagues, that we work together. And because that mind of male and female is not there, there is no restriction for me to say, okay, I cannot meet this person to talk to this, I cannot work with this person. So that restriction was not there. So I was able to flow easily. I was able to, relate easily with all the colleagues, and the support system, I think, really, really helped me. I remember when I was doing my PhD, sometimes I had to sleep in the office. This is sometimes I sleep in the office, but even then, sleeping in, I know that I have at the time, I know I had my husband that would be at home taking care of the children. At least those support systems are there. And again, my support group in church, I'm very committed to my church. So if I need to rewind and, reduce the stress, if we call it that way, I have my support group in church whereby I can distress, I can rewind, So all this we've talked about actually helped me to grow in the field, even though now I'm still growing because I'm not yet there. But these are still things that are helping me to also think about what next can I do? How can I improve myself? How can I also move in rank and in the ladders and all that? So I don't know if I've answered the question. But
yes, you have. Your perspective to it is really great. Not seeing men as men, seeing them as people. That will help to overcome some of this lack of openness from our side as women. Thank you so much. And the last question, when Professor Ed was speaking, she mentioned something that you touched on during your lecture. You showed us the history of dating back to hundreds of years, the first women that came into built environment programs. And then the difference is we're not seeing any remarkable difference. And she asked, she was kind of bothered, like, what is accounting for the difference? Why is it that, what is accounting for the low improvement, almost no improvement in the increase in women participating in the industry? Could you help us with that?
Okay, I don't really know what may be the main thing, but I think it's because of the nature of the work, really, if you look at it. First, we look at the interest of girls in sciences. Maybe we start from that, because we start from the primary school, even primary, secondary, before we even go to higher education. Because if the interest of sciences is not there from the beginning, there's no way you can see them doing these courses we are talking about. So firstly, the interest, we even from the secondary school, we see that according to statistics, that boys are more interested into engineering and into mathematics and all those sciences. So the interest, number one, maybe. And I think, again, the nature of the work, especially when we talk about the industry, you know, we in academics, even though we have our challenges and other things we need to achieve, or whatever we need to, other hurdles that we need to climb, in industry is more stricter, it's more harsh on women. And these girls, what they see is actually, they see more of the industry than in the academic. They see, oh, I have to go, I have to be on site, I have to carry blogs, I have to do this, I have to. So again, already they are like, no, I better sit down in my office with my computer and all that. So that might be some of the reason why we don't really see ladies, because of the nature of the work itself. And again, it's now, these days things are changing a bit, but it's harsher in the industry, whereby I've heard and I've seen whereby on site, maybe there is only one toilet, and both female and male, whatever on site, must use that. So this like that, we never interest a girl to say, oh, I want to be doing this. No, I can't be part of this. But I think it's changing now, that because of this advocacy for the girls and what do you call it, equity and all that, this noise is there, so that things are changing even on construction site now, that you can have female toilet, male toilet and all that. But it's harsh on site really for females. So one thing, when they see this, and again, even some parents don't encourage their girls to go into engineering or into this. Why not do medicine? Why not do nursing? Why not do something that is feminine, something that, you know? So again, we look at the home front. What is the narrative in the home? You know, are you being encouraged by your parents to do it or not? So we need to look at all these factors before we can now say, now we increase. But I don't think it's going to be something that will be so sharp to say, okay, next, and then we'll see but gradually, those of us that are into the field, you know, as we say things, because all these things are genuine, really. Those things that people face on site are genuine. But if we don't keep quiet, like the last month webinar we said about, I think a lot of discussion was around female not keeping quiet, female coming out and saying what they want and standing by it and standing by each other. So if you keep talking about what we want and we see those changes on site, that might interest the girls to come into our field. But if it is still the same with this condition on site, you won't really see girls coming into the profession. But once we are here and we are not keeping quiet, we are putting forward our challenges, we are putting forward our problems, and we are saying, government, we need this. We need this to be done for us. We need this to be done for us. Then we'll see the changes, not just on site, but we'll see the changes even, you know, being spread among the girls, and they see the interest to also be part of the team.
Thank you so much, Prof. I think we have come full circle. I don't know if there's still anyone that wants to make a comment or ask a question. Otherwise, we'll just take the vote of thanks right now. Mrs. Olade. Mrs. Olade will be taking the vote of thanks. Yes, Mrs. Olade, we are waiting for you. Yeah, she's up.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Thank God we've come to the end of this webinar. Another successful one. We give God all the glory.
There's an echo coming from your side.
I think it's okay now. All right. So we give God all the glory, and we're so appreciative to our guest speaker, Professor Bolanle Ikotun. We want to say a big thank you. The presentation was awesome. We've been well enlightened as to what is being expected from us and what will make us survive as women academics in the construction industry. I say thank you so very much. The presentation has been so impactful. So we also thank all those who have contributed. The crew, we say thank you to everyone. So also the participants, we had a very good attendance, and thank God for the network. I believe many people were able to follow through. So with this, I will say thank you to all those who have been consistent with us. Because I noticed that, yes, many people are always joining. They've not missed. And then I would just encourage us to continue to join the webinar and encourage all others too. So on this note, we want to say thank you. Thank you, Professor Yari. Thank you, Dr. Chinwe, Samobi, Mrs. Jumaya Gajini. Thank you. All of the crew. And I want to say thank you to the convener and Bob, Dr. Patience. We thank God for sustaining this webinar and making us to have fresh impact, experience from different speakers. Nature of the webinar. So on this note, we want to say thank you, and we are closing. If there's any other announcement or information, especially for the next one, Dr. Patience will give us the information.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Olade. Again, just to say thank you to everyone that has made our time to be part of this webinar. Without you, we would not have been able to hold this. We want to specially express our profound gratitude again to the our distinguished speaker. Ma, your lecture was well delivered, and it was we really gained a lot from it. Also, Professor Twala, we thank you for your support. It is because of people like Professor Twala that and the help of God that women can rise, because men like this don't feel intimidated. They go out to support the cause of women. So thanks again, Prof. We appreciate you for all that you do. We also acknowledge Professor Onyari, Dr. Sam Amobi, Tunji-Olayeni. She was my graduate student back then in Covenant University. Now she's serving in a secondary school. And thanks to Tunji-Olayeni. By the way, she was the best graduating student in her set. You see, girls are doing us proud all the time. And for everyone, yes, Jumai, thank you. Senia, all the way from Ethiopia. Thank you so much. Everyone that has participated, all the whole members of WAiC, thank you so much. And all the women on ground today from South Africa. I can see some Shabalalas. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it. I know that's South African. I can see Pandeka, all the South African women in the house. We appreciate you, and we celebrate you, particularly this month. We are celebrating women in South Africa. So we would meet again next month by God's grace. We'll share this video when it is ready, and also the information about our next webinar will be shared. Thank you again. Wish you all the best in your endeavors. God bless you and keep you. Bye.
Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Amen. Bye.
Thank you, Prof.